Did you read the last story? This issue is even more exciting. Welcome to Subscribe. Chapter 10, The Silver Cross Hunt in the Foggy Night, The Raid of the Dracula Pursuers. The fog in Paris seemed to be soaked in blood. Isabella's hand clutching the silver dagger was trembling. The rose-patterned groove on the handle fit snugly against the sweat in her palm. When the sound of glass shattering came from downstairs, Adrian's fingertips had just touched the hidden door mechanism. The outlines of the 7 keyholes perfectly matched the 7 petals of her birthmark. Go! Adrian suddenly pushed her towards the stone wall, the silver-plated pistol hot in his palm. 3 silver bullets precisely shattered the pursuers at the second-floor air window. Blue flames exploded in the pupils of the infected, but they couldn't suppress the sound of gears turning from the depths of the alley. The mechanical hounds of the Dracula faction were approaching along the virus frequency in her blood. The wooden stairs of the pharmacy trembled under the sound of boots shattering the steps. Through the crack of the hidden door, Isabella saw Adrian with his back against the workbench, the ventru ring glowing hot in the kerosene lamp. 7 hunters wearing gas masks broke through the window, the Silver Cross badges on their chests glinting coldly. They were the Silver Cross unit from the blood tax train in Chapter 8. Mr. White, the council wants to retrieve the vessel. The hunter leader raised an improved silver crossbow bolt, the arrowhead engraved with a double helix pattern. Is the ashes of your wife still in the forging room? We want to use it, ... Before he could finish, Adrian's silver dagger had sliced through his wrist. Isabella saw from behind the hidden door that the trajectory of the splashing blood appeared light blue in Adrian's eyes. The unique resonance ripples of Stigmata silver at the same frequency as the blood, colored liquid seeping from the sarcophagus in the underground palace in Chapter 3. The battle erupted in the narrow laboratory. Adrian's silver scalpel blocked the hunter's blade stabbing towards the hidden door, but his pocket watch slipped out of his vest pocket during an elbow strike. The map of the Arctic ice layer on the inner side of the dial flashed in the kerosene lamp. When the hunter leader's military boots crushed the glass mirror, Isabella clearly saw the double helix pattern on his heel, exactly the same as the Dracula emblem at the end of the City Hall list in Chapter 5. So you've known the ice, breaking point, for a long time. The leader picked up the pocket watch, and the manuscript of the North Star charts as the gears fluttered down. The crack at the end of the polar night on the winter solstice in 1897... Mr. Leonardo will love this gift. Adrian's silver dagger suddenly flew out of his hand. Isabella saw that his left shoulder was pierced by a crossbow bolt, and the blood oozing from the wound actually drew a rose outline on the ground, an exact match to the shape of her birthmark. The hidden door suddenly loosened, and Isabella was startled to find that the back of her hand holding the dagger was glowing. The hunter's footsteps vibrated in her eardrums, and she suddenly saw the blood flow in their carotid arteries, like silver threads flowing in the dark, each pulse exposing their weaknesses. Stab here, Adrian's voice was mixed with blood foam. He was using a silver test tube rack to jam the joints of 3 hunters. The virus protein has crystals on the blood, vessel walls. But Isabella's dagger stopped at the hunter's throat. She saw the reflection of the opera singer in the depths of the hunter's pupils, the infected person with a rose mark on the back of the neck, who had pounced on the conductor in Chapter 1. Fear made her wrist go weak. The silver dagger scratched the hunter's cheek, but the moment it touched the blood, she heard the low laughter of the first-generation prince. My vessel, it's time to learn to kill. The hunter leader's boots crushed Adrian's silver tweezers, and the badge became visible in the moonlight. LW1897. Isabella recognized it as the number from the laboratory log in Chapter 9. The same gilded mark had also appeared on the edge of the sketch of her father's death scene. Mr. Leonardo Dracula sends his regards. The leader approached Adrian, pulling out a silver gallows from his trench coat. He said the silversmith of the White family should know who was forging the silver dagger at the execution site of your wife in the winter of 1890. Adrian's pupils constricted sharply. Isabella suddenly remembered the memory fragment of the noble wearing the ventru ring on the blood tax train in Chapter 8 before his death. When her father was executed, Adrian was indeed holding a dagger of the same style, with no rose pattern engraved on the handle yet. The roar of the mechanical hounds came from the end of the street. Adrian suddenly ripped off the silver water pipe of the workbench. The vibration frequency of the Stigmata silver in the air made all the hunters fall to their knees, holding their heads. Isabella saw the Ventru brand on his chest, exactly the same as the executioner's emblem on the underground palace relief in Chapter 3. Go! When Adrian pushed her into the hidden door, the hunter leader's crossbow bolt had already pierced his right shoulder. The reflection of the Arctic coordinates on the falling pocket watch just illuminated Isabella's hand holding the knife. The birthmark was absorbing the ashes of Charlotte remaining on the handle, emitting the same blue light as the underground palace mural. The stench of the sewer hit her. The moment the hidden door was about to close, Isabella saw Adrian kneeling on one knee, inserting the silver dagger into the ground to create a resonance wave. Blue flames burst out simultaneously from the blood vessels of the 7 hunters. This was the first time she had seen the true power of Stigmata silver not burning, but disintegrating the virus genes through resonance. But the hunter leader didn't fall. He tore off his gas mask, and the rose mark on the back of his neck was crystallizing. Your father begged me to give you 3 drops of blood's worth of time. He coughed up black blood with a laugh. But the Dracula serum has long made us immune to silverware. Before the hidden door closed completely, Isabella saw Adrian's pocket, watch roll towards the hunter leader. The photo on the inner side of the dial slipped out. In the winter of 1890, her father and Adrian were standing in front of the Ventru Council. In the swaddling clothes held by the latter, the rose-shaped birthmark on the baby's right shoulder was clearly visible. So you've been marked as the vessel since birth? The leader crushed the photo. Amid the sound of gears turning, Isabella heard him give an order to his companions. Notify London that the vessel's blood can activate the reliquary. The ice core virus that Mr. Leonardo wants is in her heart. The dampness of the sewer mixed with the smell of rust. Isabella touched the engraved 1918 on the stone wall and suddenly heard Adrian's muffled groan from above, the sound of the silver gallows piercing through flesh and blood. Her hand gripping the dagger was shaking. The rose pattern suddenly grew hot, allowing her to see the battle on the ground. Adrian's silver dagger had broken into 2 pieces, and the fragments of Stigmata silver were embedded in the hunter leader's heart. Remember her face. The leader's roar penetrated the floorboards. Type AB blood, rose, shaped birthmark on the right shoulder. Her blood can allow us to walk in the sunlight. When Isabella climbed out of the sewer exit, all the gas lamps in the foggy alley were smashed. 3 hunters blocked the entrance of the alley, the silver crosses on their chest casting shadows. But they suddenly froze when they saw the movement of her wrist. She unconsciously drew the seal matrix of the underground palace mural on the wall with her blood. She's activated the Stigmata genes, one of them said, his voice trembling. Mr. Leonardo said that the blood of the half-breed can simultaneously... The moment the silver dagger pierced his throat, Isabella tasted the blood of the blood, race for the first time, like rusty silverware mixed with the cold of the Arctic ice layer. Memory fragments flashed in the hunter's pupils. In the winter of 1895, her father stuffed a certain document into Adrian's pocket watch, and the cover was printed with the number LW1897. The whistle of the night watchman came from the distance. Isabella dragged the severely injured Adrian into an abandoned bakery. By the moonlight, she saw the engraving on the inner side of his wedding ring. CW and MV 1896. Charlotte and her mother's names side by side, and the date was exactly when the silver dagger started to be forged. They'll chase the blood frequency all the way to the Arctic. Adrian tore off his shirt and used the fragments of Stigmata silver to cauterize the wound on his shoulder. Sparks splashed onto the remains of the pocket. Watch. When I executed your father in 1890, he said, find Charlotte. She hid something in London that can end the curse. Before he could finish, the low growl of the mechanical hounds came from the entrance of the alley. Isabella looked at the burn mark in Adrian's palm, the shape of the burn from the blood of the sarcophagus in the underground palace in Chapter 3. The hunter leader's badge was getting hot in her pocket. The number L1897 was clearly the experimental code of Leonardo Dracula in 1897. They don't want me. She held down Adrian's hand that was trying to reach for a gun and found that his fingertips also had the same blood-colored one as hers. They want the coordinates of the reliquary that sank into the Arctic in 1462. which are hidden in my blood. The fog dispersed before dawn, and an explosion came from the direction of the pharmacy. Isabella clenched the silver dagger. The rose pattern on the handle was still stained with Adrian's blood, that rare type B blood, which glimmered with the same faint light as Stigmata silver in the moonlight. In the distance, the hunter leader's walkie-talkie tried Leonardo's order. Bring her back alive with her blood, or bring her corpse. Especially the birthmark on her right shoulder must be removed intact. This issue ends here. The next issue will be even more exciting. Subscribe as soon as possible.